sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. And here we go again. It's Wednesday. It's noon, and you're listening to WMNF 88.5 in Tampa.
Yeah.
WMNF.org from anywhere in the world you happen to be, adjusting for the time zone changes, of course. My name is Mario Nunez. Thank you so much for being there and listening today. As always, I'm seated alongside my able-bodied broadcast partner.
Good afternoon. Joe King Carter here.
Joe King Carter's on the scene. Joey, as we do each and every week, we typically start the shows. And for those of you listening for the first time, we'd like to say welcome, a special welcome to you guys as well. We typically start the show with a sort of a recap of our week. And these weeks are coming at us faster and furiouser.
It's kind of like, what's going on? What's been going on?
You know, you hear the expression from time to time, all gas, no brakes. And it just feels like that's the way we're living our lives these days, man. It's like the proverbial freight train rolling downhill with no brakes. But we're happy.
It's a culture of compression now.
I like that. Let me write that down, Joey.
Yeah.
Culture of compression.
Yeah,
like the compression in my
being
neck.
pushed together, yeah.
Because I went to the doctor this morning and I got a kind of a bad report. I had a CT scan and I got some neck compression.
I had a compression between L5 and L4. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I got the L5, L4 thing. I got the L5S one, but I also got my cervical spine that's a little bit run amok.
Ooh.
That said, Joey, how was your week?
It was good. I mean, all things considered.
Busy?
Yeah. You know, sort of watching the world kind of burn a little, but, there it is.
Every day. And so for those that have been listening to us and listen to us each and every week, you may notice that Joe is sounding more like the old Joe. Because, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, partner.
Yeah, I had that bug. Yeah, that bug that's going around. Please, folks, be careful. And
get your flu shot. Are you?
I'm all up on my shots. Yeah, but please get if you're the kind of person that believes in vaccination. How about that?
Nice.
Then I suggest you do it because there's a lot of stuff going around, and COVID apparently is raging back again. I have a whole bunch of friends who are in COVID right now. So take care of yourselves, folks.
There's your PSA. That stands for Public Service Announcement from your friend and ours, Joe King Carter. Joe, right up at the top, can we talk about how this week started out on a sad note and it didn't get any happier yesterday? Y'all let you talk to the first sad note that we got over the weekend, and I'll take it from there.
Well, as so many WMNF listeners know, we lost Rob Lorai, and Rob Lorai is, for those of you out there, if there's possibly anybody who doesn't know who Rob is, he was one of the original, I guess I'll call them founders, one of the original individuals that went door to door and helped create this amazing, the best little radio station in the world. And then he also became the news director, and he was an interesting, amazing guy at doing that. Professionalism was the key word. In fact, I'll give you a little quick insight. In 94, I and others founded the first neighborhood association in Ybor City. And that was at a time of great conflict because certain city fathers and property owners had decided they were going to turn 7th Avenue into a Bourbon Street. And there was a lot of stuff going on about noise ordinances and parking and crime and, all this stuff. And I became the president of this neighborhood association, and very rapidly I started having microphones stuck in my face by the journalists from the major media stations, outlets, coming down to Ybor City to interview the president of the Residents Neighborhood Association. And I wasn't prepared for that. And after I got prepared, I learned how to speak in sound bites, by the way. And
which you're not doing now, but go ahead. Please continue.
Right. But the point is that I found out that these individuals, very often, they're doing their job, and I don't mind that they're doing their job. That's fine. But what their job is about is to look for conflict, to look for something slightly salacious, if possible, to look for something that's sexy in the news, right? And then Rob Lorai interviewed me for the first time, and Rob Lorai interviewed me several times over those years that when things were cranking and cooking. And the I was immediately struck by Rob and wanted to get to know him as a person because he approached me completely different than any other media person.
Tenor and tone.
He was measured. He was intelligent. He was informed, and he wanted to get to the facts. And what he struck me with was his extreme professionalism. And I think that looking back now, one of the things I would say about Rob is his legacy is that he helped put WMNF in a very professional light as an organization, as a radio station, because he always approached the news with this kind of intelligence that is hard to find anymore in the way that our media is going, right? So, at any rate, that's my take on Rob as a person who became a friend, but ultimately I saw him as a person who was a major professional and really to be greatly admired for what he accomplished.
That was the sad beginning to the week, and it didn't get much happier yesterday with the news of Tony Saladino II, Tony Saladino Jr. passing. For those of us that have been in Tampa for any length of time, Tony, especially in the Brandon area, legendary public service along with his wife, Bertha. Tony was 89 years old and really gave his entire life to his community. His central focus was baseball and youth sports and youth baseball in particular. He was a teacher by trade. He taught elementary school phys ed, and then ultimately what led him to just a life of giving to his community. Tony was more than just a friend to a lot of us. He was family to me, as my oldest brother was married to his stepdaughter, the love of his life, Bertha's oldest child. So, we've known Tony for 8 decades or more, and consequently, we lost him yesterday. All 5'4" of him, but his heart was bigger than all outdoors, and finally, it was his heart that gave out yesterday. So we want to extend our condolences to Tiger and Misty, his children, to the community at large. Those of us that knew of him, the Tony Saladino baseball tournament every year has become a national event for baseball scouts, and we just he was one of one. I'll say that he was único, as we say in Spanish, and his likes will not be seen again. He was a conduit, Joey, and you're a lay historian, and you live in Ybor City. He was a conduit, really, born in 1936 in Ybor City, to those early days, right, from Ybor City and Cascaden Park and Jefferson High School. I mean, the trolley cars and all that we think about when we think nostalgic. He lived that, and he was the bridge between himself and his parents, which were the ones that came here in the turn of the century. So that was a big loss.
And it just now occurs to me that both Tony and Rob were both individuals highly committed to their community. And we are a community radio. The conversation is about community and culture and where they meet. And I think that, people who dedicate themselves to their community are always thought of and loved after. So.
And if you put one and next to the other, Rob was about 6'4" and Tony was about 5'4".
Yeah.
They couldn't have been more polar opposites in their physical demeanor, but giants really and truthfully in their community. So sail on, both spirits, rest easy, both Rob and Tony.
Journey on, yeah.
All right, Joey, let's get to our show today.
Let's get to it.
We've made our guest wait long enough.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So,
who's with us today in studio?
So we have Alfred Goldberg.
There he is.
And
this is where we go to the clappings. We're going to have to get that, Jessica. We're going to have to get that set into the
there you go,
into the sound effects machine.
Audience applause.
There you go,
from the Jack Benny Show. And so, good afternoon, Alfred.
Thank you.
And as we always start all of our shows, we dig into the personal narrative of who you are and where you came from. So where did you grow up?
I grew up right here in Tampa. I was born here in 1976 at a women's hospital, it was at the time.
Right there on Buffalo Avenue?
Yeah,
at the time.
So I'm a third generation.
Tampeño.
Yep.
Tampeño.
There you go.
Very well done. Very well. Third generation.
Third generation.
Well, talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So my great-grandmother moved here from Alabama at a little bit past the turn of the century in the 1910s. And my grandmother and my mother were both born here, and myself as well. I have an identical twin brother.
There's two of you running around.
And I'm raising the fourth generation here.
That's beautiful.
Wow. And so they came, your mother's family came from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Was a banjo on her knee?
Quite possibly.
Okay, I don't know. It's a song lyric.
And so you grew up in what part of Tampa did you grow up in?
When I was a little baby, I was in South Tampa, and by the time I was old enough to realize where I was in Carrollwood.
Okay. All right. And so you're going to school where?
Well, the most significant would have been Jesuit High School.
Okay.
That's when I really started getting connected to the community. Was not an athlete, did not participate in sports while I was a student, other than going to watch them.
Your brother, did he participate? Or neither of you
Probably
two?
less than I did.
Okay, there you go. Just wanted to
Yeah,
make it
but
clear.
as you know, Jesuit has a very strong community service program. So just by doing the required community service, I started getting connected in the community. And long after graduating from high school, it just compounded year after year until I'm known as a pretty public figure in the community.
And your leadership skills were honed probably even before you knew what that was, back in those early days, working with the service groups at Jesuit. Did they have, Interact and Key Club and all those kinds of clubs?
They did. A lot of times those were populated more by the athletes,
jocks?
by the jocks.
Jocks, sure.
So I was not that involved in, say, Key Club. But people do ask me, where did you learn to be a leader? I'm like, I don't know that I learned to be a leader. I just kind of
evolved into that role.
Sure. Into that
Interesting.
role.
Yeah.
But you took to it.
Right.
And, those of us that know you know that you don't shy away from it either. I mean, you're involved in a lot of different organizations. We don't want to jump too far ahead in the story, but yeah.
Yeah.
Joe?
So if we saw you when you were a kid, you pick an age, 11, 12, 14, whatever you want. What kind of person was Alfred running around in those days like?
Probably, you wouldn't believe it today, but I was probably a very shy, quiet person sitting behind a computer.
Really?
People who knew me back then they tell me when I run into them how surprised they are to see on social media the kind of stuff I'm involved in, because I was a very quiet, shy kid. I mean, I was a Jewish kid in Catholic school. That didn't really help.
You were trying to reconcile that, huh?
Yeah.
How do you square that circle?
Well,
But it worked out for you. You made lifelong friends. Jesuit, to have that on your resume is pretty strong.
Oh, I wouldn't trade Jesuit for anything. In fact, both of my kids have Jesuit names. My oldest is Ignacio, like St. Ignatius, and my youngest is Sergio Francisco, after Francis Xavier and Pope Francis.
Wow.
So,
very good.
Two very sexy names, by the way.
My rabbi was confused. But,
Well, Jesuit also has this, certainly this history of high scholasticism.
100%.
And people who come out of Jesuit come out with a really
leg
amazing
up.
education.
Yeah, and a leg up.
absolutely. Yeah. So I also want to let you know that I personally appreciate today that I have a non-jock friend on
There's no doubt about it.
on board with me.
I
here.
knew you were going to mention that
A
before we
non-jock. I just
We'll leave all the sports talk out today.
You've just taken away some of Mario's tools. He's going to have to dig deeper
into the toolbox. But I know Alfred pretty well, so
that's good. Yeah. So we leave high school, and you're still a shy guy. How does that work?
I'd say, yeah, I was still pretty shy at the University of South Florida. I probably didn't really start emerging from being shy till toward the end of my collegiate experience. The classes were smaller, and as you said, Jesuit does instill a love of knowledge and scholastics. So I tended to read beyond what was necessary and do my own research, and so I would engage in a lot of conversation with the professors, and people would gravitate toward me and as if I was, a leader of a particular
sort of authority, yeah.
An authority.
Leadership is, I've experienced it myself, and it's an interesting concept because we do in our culture, we often use sports as a metaphor for leadership, but leadership really comes out of a place that is so very personal, right? I mean, don't you feel that way? That you sort of, it sounds like maybe in your college days, you started to emerge out of the shell a little bit.
Yeah. I went through Leadership Florida, and we actually had some training in leadership. And it's not something I've ever studied. So it's interesting to me to learn that there are multiple styles of leadership, and we took tests to understand the kind of leader you are. And I was a bit of an oddball because they said that I filled multiple brackets.
Yeah, you didn't fit into one category.
Like, I needed to be the leader, and that was not the case when I was younger, but I guess I developed a taste for it.
Right.
That
You won
if
a few games, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
You won a few games.
And if I didn't fulfill one of those categories, I would jump into the next one until finally I got people around me. But it is about service, if you ask me. So I don't necessarily find myself leading organizations by just coming in from some appointment and having assumed authority.
That's got to be the hardest one.
Yeah, that's one I would never be interested in. You know, if
you
high
join a
political
group,
figure said, "Hey, this guy's in charge,"
right?
Yet I've not worked my way into that position.
There you go.
I would not be comfortable. So most of the organizations I start
as a
volunteer.
foot soldier. As a foot soldier, sure.
And you know, very quickly I tend to move up as people see I'm not going to ask anyone to do something I would do, and that I'm willing to give, and give. And eventually, you know, people start to follow.
Well, I think leadership that comes out of ego, which is kind of what I hear you saying, is never ends really well.
or leadership that's assigned, because that's the other one. The one that's assigned, you know, you put that person
right.
In a tough situation, because if they don't have the people skills
right.
to be able to to command that kind of presence and rally the troops, so to speak, there's going to be a mutiny on the bounty tomorrow.
Yes.
But if you come up through the ranks, like Alfred tends to do, quietly, stealthy, earning his bona fides by just completing the assignments,
right.
and everybody realizing, oh, that guy, yeah, he's the go-to guy. He gets it done.
But I think you're right. If it's by appointment or if it's by ego, it's completely different. But if it's about service, that's really at the center of it all. Yeah. If you've ever served on a board where there are people who want to be on the board to say they're on the board,
nah, that never works.
Yeah,
that's the 80-20 rule. Come back to haunt everybody.
Yeah, right. So in college, what happened there? What was going on there? You
go Bulls.
Go Bulls. We did not have a football team yet
at the time.
But definitely Go Bulls.
Right.
Betty Castor was president at the time. I think Judy came in right after I left, but I've got to know Betty, Judy, and Rhea pretty well. So I studied history and economics. Strangely, that's not a field that I really did much with. Still love history. My wife teaches at the University of South Florida in the Judy Gincheft Honors College. Tamara Nemirovsky.
There you go.
She's also a local filmmaker. She might have been interviewed here before.
Award-winning filmmaker.
Award-winning filmmaker.
Go on, Tamara. We see you.
But so we spent a lot of time around history professors, and they tell me, thank God you didn't get into history because you still love it. And if you have to teach it, after a while, it just
takes a little bit away from it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas I just always enjoyed it. But somehow I ended up in computers, I guess, you know, in the 90s with the dot-com bubble. That's where the money was. And I taught myself how to program, and then in the early days how to build websites, and
all
self-taught? My own
self-taught?
company.
All self-taught?
There's some people who help, but it wasn't through like institutional learning.
No, it's just your motivation to want to know
I
how
had
to do
mentors.
that. There you go.
Right. And that led you to, what did that lead you to at that time?
So, interesting. I never really think about these things, but
that's what we're here for, Alfred. That's what we're here for.
You're on our couch,
so to speak.
You asked for it. Yeah, so I started the company. It was originally called Absolute Mobile Solutions, and we were developing software applications for the Palm Pilot. That kind of dates me there.
We do remember the Palm Pilot, though.
I still have one. I should have brought in. But
it's worth money.
He's a collector, you know. He's a collector.
Yeah, so there wasn't as much of a call from mobile here in the United States as it was in Europe, and my business partner was a Romanian, and so I flew to Romania based off some information he gave me, and was just blown away by what I saw. And so we established an office in Romania, and for many years we were developing mobile solutions for Western Europe.
How old are you at the time, Alfred?
Gosh, I don't know, 20s.
That's pretty, that's pretty forthright. I mean, that's like you're standing on your own 2 feet saying, I'm gonna bust out. I'm gonna do something impactful.
You know, it's one of those things.
Because at 20 in your 20s, you know, a lot of us don't know what we're doing.
Well, I was young enough and dumb enough not to know that there was anything that I could do.
Oh, good for you.
So,
good for you.
Yeah.
that nobody said I couldn't. So
I
we
stopped
did.
you. I'm sorry. You were in Romania. Please continue.
Yeah, so we established the office there, and very quickly I started getting involved in the associations that represented Romania's IT sector, and they were working with USAID and others to kind of move from their communist past to, a capitalist society. So the USAID was helping them brand these industries. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, I'm in a leadership position in the Romanian American Chamber of Commerce. I'm helping organize missions to San Francisco, to New York City. Of Romanian
Leadership
IT
in full
companies.
effect. Leadership,
Yes.
on full display.
Or as my wife calls it, unpaid work. So at a very young age, I was doing that, and I didn't even think twice about it. I just thought, hey, this is cool. It's international trade, brings me back to my studies in economics and history, and that just kept emerging, one thing after another. Okay, you're in this industry group. Now you're leading that industry group. Here's another industry group. Here's a national level. Till it got to the point where I said I got to be a little picky about where I'm spending my time, because I found myself spending more time in volunteer activities than building the business.
You are having to make a living after all.
I got to pay the bills somehow.
Somehow.
Right.
Feed the bulldog.
Goodwill does it keep the lights on.
Right. So that's now all of that is really quite fascinating, and I think it also. I love the concept that I was too young
To know any different.
better.
Yeah.
This is so much of the adventure when we're young, right? If we had known really what was happening, we might have been intimidated, and not done it.
And super cautious about the whole thing.
So your business is thriving, though. Yes.
Yeah, we're celebrating 25 years this year.
Right. But I mean, it was thriving then.
It was doing really well back then.
Yeah. As you were volunteering in all of these places. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what?
So
what
mobile
happens?
technologies evolved into advanced. I mean, I should say absolute marketing. In what? In how did that take place?
So
Jump
a
that.
lot of the mobile solutions we were developing had marketing applications. We built one of the first mobile payment systems in Europe. It was called MoPay. It was completely SMS-based payments. Almost every app we built was just incredibly different. We were doing a lot on Nokia. This is Europe, so
Sure.
a lot of Symbian stuff. They were all very different, but they all seemed to be based around marketing. And clients started asking us more and more marketing questions. So we started, again, we never wanted to say no. So we started taking on that work and hiring marketers here, web designers, SEO, social media, that kind of stuff. And eventually my Romanian side of the business and I went our separate ways, and I ended up still holding all the marketing stuff, and he held all the majority of the software development. So it's one of those business stories where, sometimes businesses have a split and everybody hates everybody. That's not the case here. We still keep in touch. We're still good friends.
I've known you for a hot minute, Alfred, and I know Joey's just coming into your world now like this, but it strikes me that I don't think Alfred Goldberg, because of his temperament, because of who he is, because of how he developed his personal skill set, has too many natural enemies. Bro, you're a nice guy that is a very smart guy, and you navigate the worlds you live in pretty stealthy. You kind of do your work quietly, but it's effective. You know all the power brokers, so it's not like you're not well leveraged in the community. And I think you're an incredibly nice person. So I mean, and in today's environment of wolf eat wolf, that's rare.
Yeah,
Speak to that. Where'd that come from?
I'm not sure where it comes from, but I'll tell you, I don't hold grudges. Somebody can do me wrong and see him down the road, and it doesn't really affect me. I try not to step on anyone's toes. I don't have any enemies that I know of, but I'd be very foolish to think that everybody likes me. But I would say
Joey
that
and I feel that way too, right, Joey? Joey and I feel that way.
the few times I say somebody was in opposition to something, it wasn't me personally. They didn't like maybe something one of the organizations I'm involved in was doing, or they were competing over a resource. And it was never.
You were at odds
personal.
with them for that reason, not personally.
Exactly. And even in those cases, I can't even think of one where it was apparent. More like you hear through the grapevine.
Ask about go back to the family structure again. Talk about mom, dad, because his dad was a military veteran, and there's an interesting story there. And
I think you just asked him.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do our station ID. When we come back from that, we'll delve a little bit deeper into a little bit more family history, and then we'll talk about what you're doing today.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Taryn Barbas Kramer, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM in Tampa.
That's the great Taryn Barbas Kramer, and we owe a debt of
A
gratitude.
true powerhouse, by the way. Wow.
We owe a debt of gratitude to Alfred Goldberg for suggesting her as a guest for the conversation,
There you
because
go.
she was wonderful, and we will have her back at some point in time because she has a lot to say, and she's
Yes.
a Tampeña of note. Hey, listen, if you'd like to join us here on the conversation today, feel free to do so. We'll take your calls. We'll entertain your calls, 813-239-9663. You can always send us a text, 813-433-0885. Jessica is standing by to read your emails to us, dj@wmnf.org. Joey?
There we go. Well, he asked the question. Let's talk a little bit more about your family.
Sure. So as I said earlier, my mother was born here, but my father was not. He was from New York, and he fought in the Second World War. He was in the 45th Infantry as a heavy machine gunner.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
If you've seen the movie The Liberator, that was their story. They were the first into Dachau, and I don't have it for certain, but I'm pretty confident my father was amongst the ones that went in with Felix Sparks, because I do know that the company Felix Sparks brought in was my father's company.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And he specifically brought in the heavy machine gunners, and my father was one.
Sure.
So there's a very good chance that he was literally one of the first people
Did you
into
hear
the
any of those
camp.
stories growing up, Alfred? Did your dad? Because a lot of those World War II vets, they internalized all of that, man. They didn't share too much of that.
He would love to watch World War II movies, but not really share too much about his own experience. I do know that until the day he died, he'd have nightmares about what he saw in Dachau.
Of course.
And I mean, there was cases where his wife, he was remarried. My mother and him were divorced. His wife would burn food, and he would have to leave the room because just the smell would bring back memories
God.
of the camp. And
Unbelievable.
We're talking 60, 70 years later.
Yeah. Well, of course, those guys suffered what we now call post-traumatic, post-traumatic syndrome, shell shock, whatever you want to call it. It becomes something really horrific. I can't imagine experiencing Dachau as you walk in and see all of that. It must have been just horrifying.
I'd say the extra layer to that is he was Jewish himself.
Right.
So to be a Jewish soldier from New York and walk into the camp and see what was there, that had to impact him.
Change your DNA, I would think.
Amazing. Well, and so was he a little older when you were born?
He was. That was one of the things he used to get upset because people would think he was our grandfather. He had that New York temper, so he
Short fuse.
He would let people know what he thought. But we always thought it was funny when we were younger. But now that I'm older, I realize that had to be an annoyance to him.
Right. Well, sometimes an older parent can be there are many gifts that can be given by the older parent, because there's some wisdom there and things like that. So having a grandparent for a parent's not a bad thing.
Right. Patience, too.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else about that you wanted to say about your father's experience there?
Just what brought him to Tampa was the family owned a electrical company that did a lot of government contracts, and one of the contracts was with the FAA. And his company did the runway lights on Tampa International Airport.
Nice. Wow.
And some of the work in the tower. And that's actually where he met my mother. She was working for an attorney, and he hired that attorney while he was doing business here in Tampa.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go back to your business and how this connects you to some of the things you're doing today. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So It is a marketing agency, 25 years this year, and a lot of our clients, thank you, a lot of our clients are local institutions like Alessi Bakery. We've worked with Mosey, we've worked with Zoo Tampa, Chicho Restaurant Group. So having clients like that, really, Metropolitan Ministries as a client, really exposes you to leaders of those organizations and often presents you for opportunities to get involved. One of the things I'm working on is trying to get my staff more involved so that we can spread the love a little bit further than just me. But I'm not even sure what led to this, but one of the ones I'm really, and we actually have a board meeting tonight, involved in is Tampa Sister Cities. And I think it was that Romanian connection because I had an international business. Now, it wasn't importing, exporting goods. Nothing was going through Port Tampa Bay. But people got to know that I was involved in international stuff. And so I was an investor in the EDC and became part of the International Trade Task Force. And Mayor Buckhorn did a mission to Israel. I'm also on the board of Tampa Bay Wave, which is our local technology accelerator. So these things all kind of came together at that point where the mayor, Buckhorn, was part of a trip to Israel. I'm a member of the Jewish community. I'm also involved with Tampa Bay Wave, and the purpose of the trip was to study entrepreneurship in Israel. So all those items came together and went on that mission. It was a very interesting mission. Returned, and then I got a call that the mayor would like for me to look at being more involved in the Sister Cities organization. So when I checked it out and understood what it was all about, I realized this was exactly a place I needed to be because it's all about cultural exchange. Are you familiar with Sister Cities at all?
Well, I was just going to ask you, I am a little bit because of involvement in Ybor City, but could you give sort of a very brief history of Sister Cities?
So in 1956...
I'll abstain because, of course, I was part of that group for a hot minute.
Yes, Mario was on our board for a couple years.
I was, and it was wonderful. Good experience.
So Sister Cities was formed from President Dwight D. Eisenhower. After World War II, he had this belief that wars were caused by politicians, not by just your average citizen. And one of the dangers in the road is people not understanding other people. It was easier to demonize a group if you were not familiar with them.
Right.
So he created this concept of citizen diplomacy, people-to-people connections. And over the years, it's evolved a lot, but that's still at the core of what Sister Cities is. Now it's governed by a group called Sister Cities International in Washington, D.C., but Tampa's earliest chapter wasn't too long after it began. It was in the early late 1950s, and it was with Cordoba, Argentina. Was the first sister city relationship that Tampa formed. That is no longer an active sister city relationship, which is a shame because, ironically, that's the city my wife is from. And I actually was...
Can we not renew that? Can we renew those old acquaintances?
Oh, there's so much work right now.
There is.
But I can tell you, I was visiting her family, and we were driving down the street, and I looked out the window just casually at a stoplight, and the name of the street we were on was Ciudad de Tampa.
Wow.
So I asked, I said, what's
that
this
all
about? And her father said, oh, we're sister cities. And being on the board at the time, I thought to myself, are we?
Yeah, really.
I wasn't going to correct them.
Theoretically, we're sister cities. Maybe he meant.
I did get out, take a nice selfie with the street sign.
Of course.
And, so that was our older sister city. But the oldest active one actually is Barranquilla, Colombia. And next year we are celebrating 60 years with Barranquilla. I actually was just there in June, kind of an advanced mission to prepare for all of the different celebrations in both cities that we are planning to have take place. And they're varied from sports engagements to music to art, maybe some travel, maybe some business exchanges. As you know, you remember that we'll bring up a little sports for Mario here.
Uh-oh. Be careful.
The Tampa Bay Mutiny,
Yes.
big player is Carlos Valderrama.
Yes.
Who's from that area.
Yes, he is.
In June, when I went, his son gave me his original jersey. Well, it was a replica, but his jersey. And we are working very hard to see if we can't get him to come visit next year as part of the celebration.
That would be an amazing get, my brother. That would be an amazing get. Listen, it's good to be Alfred Goldberg. Let's just establish that right up front.
Seems like it to me.
You know, he's always behind. He always gets backstage passes, man. Mm-hmm. And if you hang with him, sometimes you're lucky enough you go along with.
He also, by the way, we're on radio, but I did a little research, and I realized that
He's a hatter. He's like you and me.
He is a person who understands the standing out image of being dapper and very
Properly festooned.
very well dressed,
Properly
Absolutely.
festooned. If he's going to an event in Barranquilla, believe me, he's going to be dressed the part.
Yeah, you're going to know who he is. How many sister cities do we have?
We have 12 current sister cities. We have a couple cities that are in process. They may or may not eventually become sister cities. Mm-hmm. And both Mayor Castor and Mayor Buckhorn have expressed that we do not, as a city, want any dormant sister cities, that if we have one that's
Active.
not very active, we need to
Replace them with an active one.
either replace them, but preferably, because, I mean, these are sisters. You don't dump a sister.
Just revitalize her, reinvigorate.
Yeah, find a way to reinvigorate
Mario, you
them.
don't dump a sister.
I got it. I got
They're
it.
not girlfriend cities, boyfriend cities.
Here's,
Right.
here's a test for you, Alfred. Give us the list of those cities, because, I'll help you if you don't remember them all.
Oh, wow. Test on air.
Yeah, not
well, next month, there's actually a trip to our Sicilian sister city, Agrigento.
Argento, yes.
Then, as I said, I just got back from Barranquilla, Colombia.
Colombia.
There is Le Havre, France, which we last visited in 2022.
Dublin,
South Dublin, Ireland. Ashdod, Israel. Porto Alegre, Brazil.
Brazil.
Veracruz, Mexico.
Mexico.
Without the list in front of me, you're
Spain. Spain.
Heraklion, Crete, in Greece. Oviedo, Spain.
Oviedo, Spain.
Izmir, Turkey.
I'd say he's there.
No,
Are you there?
I was kind of trying to help him a little bit, but I think that's just about it.
Yeah.
Gosh, no, China.
Oh, yeah, Lanzhou, China.
Excellent. Wow, excellent.
And so this is a cultural exchange. Sometimes we get the opportunity to do some business.
Let's talk about what happens in that exchange.
That's what people would like to know.
So every city's a little different, but we have frameworks that we try and push. So we have, for example, a woman named Yasmin Ormouche, who's in charge of our youth and education program. And she works with, for example, Hillsborough County public schools, some of the private schools, to try and increase cultural exchange for youth. Sister Cities International itself holds several competitions. They have something called Youth Ambassador Program, and she oversees that. For other cities, it often comes down, because every city has a committee. We call them affiliate committees. So every affiliate committee, depending on its makeup, may have different interests. We try and homogenize them, but it doesn't always work out.
Right.
So our French sister city is very strong in legal exchange. So the Hillsborough County Bar Association actually has an agreement with the bar of, I think it's Upper Normandy, maybe Lower Normandy, can't really remember. But every couple years, a lot of French judges and attorneys will come here, and then a couple years later, a bunch of our attorneys and judges will go there. They learn a little bit about differences in the legal system. They attend seminars, and they exchange, best practices. They were here last year, the French judges actually, and I went to part of their program, and they were studying about the dogs that they have. So if you have youth who have to testify, often they're very scared, and there's a program, I'm probably not doing it justice, but there's a program in the courthouse in which they spend time before having to,
With like service animals, actual dogs?
With like really friendly dogs
Okay.
to, help them calm their nerves and also sometimes to feel safe. They feel that, the dogs are protective of them.
If there's anybody that wants to join the organization, is there a website or a Facebook page they might be able to navigate towards?
Well, Sister Cities is tampasistercities.org. We're always looking for volunteers, and definitely the Columbian celebrations next year are going to need a lot of support. We do form partnerships with other community groups in the in the area. So, like the Italian Club has a lot of affiliation with our Italian Sister Cities program, and vice versa.
And we know the Italian group that goes to Agrigento is a vibrant. With our connection, Tampa's history with Sicily. Boy, you always sell out those adventures.
Yeah, they sell out a bus, sometimes 2 whole buses. So that's between 50 and 100 people. And then people are still mad they can't get in. Oviedo, Spain, is another one that does a lot too. Again,
with our history,
our history, yeah. A lot of our sister cities, it is the historic tie that brought them about. Ironically, Barranquilla, there was not a lot of strong ties when it was created, but it's become one of the strongest, most vibrant members of the program. And there's a large population from not just Colombia, but from Barranquilla,
right here in the Bay Area. So it begs the question, how much longer are we going to have to wait before we can get a sister city in La Habana? Because Havana should have been the biggest sister city, and it was our biggest sister city forever until 59, right?
Yeah, so, that's a very touchy subject. It is citizen-to-citizen diplomacy, but it has to be blessed by the highest levels of authority in both cities.
In both governments.
Right.
And we've never really had that from both mayors. We might have had one mayor on one side or the other, but never both mayors. I actually went to Cuba with the Chamber of Commerce, that don't even know how many years ago, but it was during the Obama administration.
Right.
And we went there with all the history of Ybor City, all the history of Tampa, expecting to, feel some sort of, we haven't seen you in so long.
Welcome back.
That's not what happened. They had no clue where Tampa was. The history was unknown, which, I found very depressing.
Yeah.
As one would.
Yeah. So let me just ask you on that subject real quick, because it's dear to my heart, is if our mayor and their mayor were wanting to somehow connect, that connection could not occur, could it, with our relations with Cuba as it is?
That's probably outside my pay grade. If they were both willing to take that risk, then they could. But some countries do require, like, the federal government to recognize it. I would be surprised, and this is something that we might want to research. There probably are some sister cities with Cuba. Just none that I'm aware of.
I have an idea, Alfred. Tell me if you think the idea has any merit. I think what we should do, because we have the keys. I know someone who has the keys to Marti Park. We could probably open the park and then chain Joe to the Marti statue inside and say, we're not going to unchain him until the two cities agree to become sister cities. What do you think, Joey?
Well, it's fascinating that people that come through our Visitor Information
Tell that
Center
story, Joe.
in Ybor City are not aware that Marti Park is Cuban soil. And it always astounds me and that they are not aware of it. It just seems like they would be. Because it's really the only piece of land in America in that situation.
So my office actually overlooks the Jose Marti Park in Ybor City. So I actually can open my window when it's not as hot as it is today, and I see people coming into the park. And you have tourists to come into the park, but what I've also seen, this is very touching, is Cubans who are not able to communicate or be with their family back in Cuba will come into the park to share news, to leave flowers, all sorts of stuff, and it's a very touching thing to witness.
Is your office in the Pedrosa building, or are you behind the? May I ask?
It's one of the new buildings. I always have trouble remembering the name.
Okay.
You got
west of the park.
One next to Gomez.
Gomez. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm one of the people that conduct those tours that go into that park, and I will tell you that I've had some amazing experiences in that park, in which Cubanos are listening to me talk, and so they feel they have entitled ownership to the conversation, so they'll jump right in, and they will say things to me that really stagger me. I've had people say to me, Jose Marti is more alive today than he has ever been, because for them, that issue is still there, of course, right? A communist country, and that he was the liberator. And so it's a very interesting part of our history that Tampa needs to be more aware of and connected to.
How great is it that you get that experience every now and again that's touching as you describe, when you get to see it, because it just brings it all back home.
You can walk to Cuba anytime you'd like. Right?
Yes, you can.
With a Cuban sandwich.
We should do.
With a Cuban sandwich. There you go. And a cafe con leche.
That's our friend Alfred Goldberg, everybody. Listen, we've just got about maybe 10 minutes in the show left. If you've got a question or a comment for Alfred, or you'd like to offer something on Rob Lori or Tony Saladino, as we alluded to at the top of the show, now would be your chance to do it. Don't let time run out on you. It's 813-239-9663. The text is 813-433-0885. Jess, do we have any emails that we would like to read presently? DJ@WMNF.org.
Yes, Gemini says, rest in peace for Coach Saladino. And Eugene Bell appreciates the fact that Jesuit is being spoken about. He asked the name of our guest. It's Alfred Goldberg. But what was his graduation year? Both of his sons attended Jesuit, and he attended USF. That's from Gene Bell.
Thank you, Gene.
1994.
There you go.
So Jesuit has a legacy. I mean, if your grandfather went to Jesuit and your father went to Jesuit, there's a good chance you're going to go there as well. It's just one of those things. University of Florida, the same thing. Plant High School, the same thing. That panache, that cachet, it still plays. I mean, if you look at the campus now, it looks like a small university.
Oh, yes.
It's gorgeous. And the Gunsmarts have done a great job, as well as many other legacy families here, to make sure that everything keeps moving in the right direction.
And you're developing tradition. When you have when you have generations that go to the same school, you're developing a tradition within your family.
It means something.
It's a very strong alumni network, and it doesn't matter what year you graduated. You feel like you're always part of the family, and you still get invited to what's called the senior alumni dinners or lunches. And I've attended quite a few of those. It's been a while, so I probably should go to another one. But
reassert yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Class of 94, represent.
That's right.
So what is on the horizon for
Alfred Goldberg?
Alfred? Yeah. What's happening next?
So we've already talked a lot about the Barranquilla celebration. I want this to be one of the biggest events that we've ever done in Tampa related to a Sister Cities program.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
So it's getting a lot of my attention. But Tampa Bay Wave also. Tampa Bay Wave supports technology entrepreneurship in the Tampa Bay area, and we have several different verticals we focus in, and they've got a blue tech one right now. That's very exciting. And we've got some big things happening there.
What's blue tech? Describe it real quick.
Blue tech is technology related to anything, oceanic or weather.
There you go.
It could be, and it often has dual use. So that's happening right now. But, there's just a lot of stuff happening in Tampa Bay, and I just find myself pulled in different directions. I'm going through the Leadership Tampa program.
Trying to be a father to those two boys.
Yeah, my son's Sergio's got soccer tryouts today at school. Good luck, Sergio.
Good luck, Serge.
You've got that Argentine blood.
Come on now, wear that number 10 jersey. Wear that number 10 jersey, Sergio.
Yeah. So,
and I saw you at Cafe Con Tampa. I saw that presentation, and I thought you were very interesting in all of that. What was that experience like? Is finding fun there with Bill and the group?
I've known Bill a very long time, and their offices for Tucker Hall's right outside of my doors too.
Right.
So it's always good. I try and make those as much as I can. Since I take the kids to school, though, it's often hard to get in there.
But it's an early riser that Friday. It's an early.
But I love the variety of speakers that Bill gets, and the audience. There are the usual suspects in the audience, but there's often interesting new characters to meet. And for all the different nonprofit activities I'm involved in, it's a good place to meet, to find new partnerships. And as funding is, I mean, that's a big issue right now. With all this stuff happening at a national, state
level.
and local
Sure.
level,
Sure.
Yes.
I think partnerships are going to be more important than ever because we're going to all have to do a little more with less.
Yes.
Until we
Yeah.
can right the ship.
Right.
I think that there will be a give back, but it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute.
Well, maybe the effect will be that community becomes stronger in every sense of the word, local and state and federal.
And as long as it promotes voting, we don't mind that, right?
Yeah,
as long
that's
as it
true.
inspires people to get out and vote.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. So this celebration is coming up.
What's the dates? Do we have some dates? Can you share with us?
Well, the first announcement is going to be September 7th. That's when Mayor Castro is having a little event at City Hall where she's going to announce her intentions. And then after that, they're going to start releasing dates. But there are so many different events in the works with so many things to, schedules to
Hispanic Heritage Month
coincide.
is coming right up, my partner.
Absolutely.
September 7th is a very special day in my life too. I digress, but I'll just say it right now that's it's my anniversary with my lovely wife Sally. Most of you guys know that, and there she is sitting right over there.
Hello,
So
Sally.
this year 45 years, y'all. I don't know what that is, but that's how long. Listen, if you stay alive long enough, the time will go by. Alfredo, when I met you, you had hair. And you don't have no hair now, so you know what I'm saying?
I've always said Sally's a saint, but 45 years, that's
amazing.
a special kind of saint.
They're bronzing the statue as we speak, I'm telling you. But yes, happy anniversary early, baby. But
Yeah.
Hispanic Heritage Month is always big here because the city does a lot of events. And Tampa Theater's always got something cooking, and there are events in the evenings, and, we have a lot of culture here.
And I'd like to Joe's point, I'd like to see a lot of that come back. You remember the old Fiesta days?
Yes.
And I share that with some of the I'd call them newcomers, and they have no idea that we had those level of celebrations. And the queens of the Fiesta often would go to Barranquilla and participate in their carnival.
That's right.
Which I believe it's the second largest carnival in the world next to Rio de Janeiro.
Outside of Brazil, right.
So,
Well, I know that I know that Drew Newman at Cuesta Rey at the Newman Cigar Factory has been heading up an idea about a Founders Day. October 5th is when Vicente Martinez Ybor signed the original contract for land. So we sort of see that as a date. And April 13th is when the first cigar was rolled in.
And that would be the appropriate date to open up the new niche boutique hotel that they're refurbishing across the street from.
Absolutely,
October 5th.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not going to be for a couple of years.
Yeah, right.
Because that building needs a lot of TLC.
But this will be the 140th anniversary of Mr. Ebor's purchase of property, and what Drew is wanting to do is start
Remind everybody.
and start building on the 150th a decade from now. Really get that celebration up.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
something you should probably be involved in. at some
oh,
level.
absolutely. And Ybor is going to be unrecognizable by then, I think. And
Yeah,
so
it's changing a lot.
So much development.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's make sure that we don't let them forget who and where we were and where we came from. I'm just going to suggest that right now. Alfred, anything else you'd like to say in the last minute and a half that we've got left? Have we left anything out?
I'm sure I'll think of something as I'm driving back to the office. But
As it always works out that way.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Of course.
And if you're not involved in the community now, I highly recommend doing it. It just opens up so many opportunities, and I think everyone should have that experience.
yes,
Tampa's a great city.
it grows the soul.
It still has a lot of upside left. I think a lot of people think that
yeah.
we're saturated. We got too many people in here now. And an argument can be made that we do have a lot of folks here, but it's up to us. It's incumbent upon us to remind everybody of our place in this community, Tampa,
Yeah,
as it relates to Tampa Bay.
Mario, one thing people tell me about Tampa who are not from Tampa is, unlike many cities, Tampa, everyone is approachable. There's a lot of cities where you have to live a very long time, if ever, to get through certain doors. Doors are open here. And that makes it, I think, a lot easier to get involved in the community and get things done.
Absolutely.
Maybe the friendliest little big town in
Yes.
the U.S.
That's
Yes.
a good description.
I love it. Joey, what's coming up next?
Well, as always, special thanks to Jessica, our OG of the board. And
How long has she been doing this now? It seems like you say that every week, our OG of the board, our OG of the
yeah,
board.
she's been doing it for a long time. What did she tell us earlier?
13 years.
13 years.
Every Wednesday for 13 years.
Oh, my God. We need an anniversary party. And also, I want to thank Hazel for taking our calls and in there.
Yeah. We saw a
working
couple
away.
of calls. They didn't wait too long, though.
Yeah.
They didn't stay too long on the air.
And then coming up next, it's the Music Wednesday with Doug Rink. And so there it is.
Well, Joey, as always, man, we just, we love being here on Wednesdays, do we not?
Absolutely.
And we hope that today's show you found fascinating and interesting and educational, any one of those three components, because Alfred does have a wonderful story to tell, and he tells it wonderfully. Thanks, Alfred, for coming in today.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. And once again, we are The Conversation. We'll see you next Wednesday on the radio. You're listening to WMNF Tampa.